Hey everybody, before we get into this review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I just want to let you know about our sponsor. It's a film called Sir John A. and the Curse of the Anti-Quenched. It's a fun comedy, and you can check it out on iTunes, Amazon, wherever you get your movies. Check out curseoftheantiquenched.com. All right, we're a little late to the game here with our Once Upon a Time in Hollywood review, but we're still doing it, and I'm starting the 10-minute timer now.
So it was a long movie.
So,
I think it's...
Wait, Matt, I first want to ask, since you haven't been on the podcast for a while, are you all right? Is everybody all right? I'm all right, but the fucking hippies ain't. That was my favorite line in that whole movie. Right at the end? No?
Yeah. I don't remember.
All right, it's a really great start so far. What'd you think of it?
Well, I was expecting it to be long, but it didn't feel long to me. Like when we went to see it with me and my friends and I, and three of us liked it, and then one of us was just like, "Man, it was so long, like nothing was happening." And I'm like, "Yeah, but like, it's Hollywood, baby. Like, you know, like things were happening, but they weren't happening. You know,
Yeah.
It's a slow burn that definitely pays off for the Tarantino-esque violence of the end.
He does a lot of good, subvert your expectation, right?
Oh,
like,
I love it.
But he's also a master of showing you something to build up a character, so you know that character has a skill or attribute, so that when things happen,
exactly, like the Bruce Lee thing, and then the end.
So you know that's based on like a true story of Gene LaBelle, who's like a famous wrestler, like stuntman.
The only thing I knew that was true was the whole Sharon Tate thing.
Right.
But like I knew where it was leading up to. I'm like, oh, are they gonna do the Sharon Tate murders? But like knowing where they're going Tarantino-esque, I'm like, you know what? I bet you that like he's gonna stop it, right? Brad Pitt's gonna go, and like that's my mind was already there, thinking like it's Tarantino. He takes things, and even like World War II, right? Like they kill Hitler.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they switch the history a bit to give it more
flip it on its head.
Yeah, alt history. And you know what? I like that. Now, I was expecting it, but when it happened, you're like, oh, man, here we go.
I want to put my nomination forward for DiCaprio to win an Oscar this year again. So the scene where he's acting opposite Timothy Olyphant, I think his name is.
Oh, man.
And so, like, the
good.
levels of acting to go from just Leonardo DiCaprio acting his ass off as that guy, then to act as the character acting as another person in the scene, fucking up.
So, like, those are some of my favorite moments, is, like, that whole Western. I love Westerns to begin with, but, like, that whole sequence. And then, like, all right, back there, and like the whole scene goes back. Like, it's so brilliantly done. And yeah, like, hell of a performance, like him and Brad Pitt. But I think I prefer DiCaprio. I think DiCaprio's. If it wasn't for Brad Pitt's, the one thing I didn't like about the movie was too much Manson-ness to it. Like, I didn't like when they went to the old. I forget what it's called, but like the old ranch there.
That's also based on a true story.
It is. No,
so.
And I'm not saying it's not. It just, to me, that's where I kind of were like, okay, like let's keep going. There were certain things, like you mentioned, there's, subverting the expectations. That whole sequence, that's all it does, right? Like, I love the fact that the music that's playing on the television is adding suspense to the scene that's happening, like,
I know.
in it, and you're like, oh man, like that part was good, but like all the outside, I don't know. There were certain things I liked, certain things I didn't like. That to me was some of the weaker aspects of the movie. Like, I was just like, get back to the Hollywood, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, to me, I was like, get back to DiCaprio, because he's just so good right now. And there are scenes with Brad Pitt I like, but when Brad Pitt is in, like, on set, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to see more of that.
It's funny, I'm like, was joking. I'm like, I'll never be as cool as Brad Pitt in that movie, you know?
Yeah. Brad Pitt was quite great in that movie. I really like DiCaprio. They have a really good,
like, dynamic, like,
so good.
You think there'd be like the cliche version of that would be, you know, they have some type of big fight in the movie, and like, but no, they're just buds.
They're just buds the whole time, and like almost everything that they build upon in like throughout the movie just kind of pays off in some way. Even things like Sharon Tate, it's pretty much just showing her life, like for like the last few days, right?
Yeah.
Like,
did you see like her sister was against the movie until she saw it, and then she saw it, and then
oh no, I didn't.
and now like she like loves it, and
well, because it's kind of a what if, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, like they really beat the shit out of these people that are pieces of shit to begin with.
Do you know it's Uma Thurman's daughter is the one that runs away?
Is she? I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's in the new Stranger Things and all that.
I haven't seen the newest Stranger Thing. I know there's like a lot of cameos in this movie. People show up and you're like, oh,
that
like,
guy.
That's Michael Madsen. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Actually, funny enough, I saw him at a Comic-Con before the movie came out, and he told a story of he did like some other independent movie right before this. And he was ziplining in the shot, and the zip line frigged up, and he smashed into something. He was all bruised up, and he didn't like he had a bruise on his head, and he went to set and all this, and he didn't want to tell Tarantino, so he went to makeup and got makeup done and all this. So you see him like limping and looking like kind of mangled in some of his shots, but like apparently Tarantino rewrote the scene to fit that, which is kind of funny. So
that's fun. No, I enjoyed the movie. I'm actually surprised it did as well as it did because for one, it's Tarantino, so it has a niche market.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's a very slow film.
Which is like they don't make
usually
films
that's a box office killer right there. Usually slower films. You got, you know, I mean, yeah, you got DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, but those
and Margot Robbie and like
those two they're big actors, but they're kind of falling out of the whole Hollywood new actors kind of age. You know what I mean? They are aging. It's just everything shouldn't have been such a big box office, and I'm glad it did because it's also almost a 3-hour film. Like all these things kind of build up to it. You're like, I was actually surprised. I'm like, it's a good thing that it did.
Yeah.
Is this supposed to be his last movie or like?
I don't know. He always says like
of something like
he always
that.
says like, oh, like I'm only gonna make X amount of movies, but then he said he goes back on that every now and then. He said
the problem is you get a new idea, you know? Like,
yeah, that's just it. And he said he just like he'll get an idea and be like, oh, I need to do that. And I don't know. Like he's very much like I want to make movies on film that are shown in theaters and all that, but he is somebody that like a David Lynch, who I feel like could make just a miniseries, 10-episode miniseries, and
it would be interesting to see a Tarantino-esque, or
because he has written TV before, like he has written episodes of stuff, you know.
Yeah,
but I mean, like, I love the film. I had no expectations going in. I love the attention to detail that they did with the practical effects too. Of just
fun.
They'll just change a street to what it was in the 70s or whatever to look like it did and go film quick. They have one take, got it. Do you see the behind the scenes shots of the 405 in LA all lit up and all the old cars, and they did it all like legit, that's like fun. With a process car
and you could just kind of tell, like, you know what I mean? Like when a movie goes practical versus the CGI, sometimes you've got some you could just tell and appreciate more of the practical aspect of it, and especially since it's a movie about the 70s and, you know, like classic Hollywood, maybe not like the 70s Hollywood aspect of it, or 60s. Is it the 60s? I forget. 70, yeah. It's like in that range, but like old school Hollywood, it's all practical. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of like the Expendables, but all other effects are all CG'd and done in post. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, these are the people that are supposed to glorify the 80s action movie stars, and like you're telling me almost everything is not practical?
I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
sort of, there is like a loss there, right?
Exactly. So like that, I'm glad he did in that respect a lot of it there. And no, I really liked it. It's not my favorite Tarantino film. It's not something I'd be watching all the time. You know what I mean? Like, there's more.
I'm definitely gonna rewatch it, but
same here. But
what's your favorite?
I mean, I know it's kind of cliche, but I really do enjoy the old Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
I was always a big fan of Pulp Fiction. I really like the randomness. I really like the GIMP scene. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because I had no idea what I was going into, like, first time I saw it. And when that happened, I'm like, man, I know it's like, it's messed up. And I'm like, I like that they went there. Like, it's just, it's so random. I don't know. That one, and probably Inglourious Bastards, because I'm a sucker for World War II.
Man, I gotta say, yeah, Inglourious is up there for me for sure. Because it's just fun.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Django
to me, it was fun. But
there was good.
But there's too much, like, there's a lot of, like, not, it's just, like, there's parts you just, like, you feel uncomfortable, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah. But you know what? I think one of my favorites is Jackie Brown.
I seen that once. I need to give that one another shot.
All right, we got the 10-minute timer. We both obviously loved.
We liked it. Hopefully, he's doing more of it. And if you haven't seen it, check it out. If you have seen it, see it again, maybe, hopefully, when it comes out.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. And be sure to follow us on Twitter at Lost Commentary, on Instagram at Raiders of the Lost Commentary, and like us on Facebook.
I'll be back.